there guys, Portal Master 9351 here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about something that I have not talked about in a really long time. Now this video is a precursor to two videos that are coming up soon. The first one being Activision's master plan for Skylanders and all their other franchises. That is the first video that this is a precursor to. I did another video that's also a precursor to that video about the Skylanders Champions 3-pack. That's going to be a big video with a lot of subtopics, and I really don't have time to try to flesh out every idea in that video, or we would be there forever. So this is a part of that, and this is also a part of the Skylanders A Year in Review for 2017. I wanted to talk about this in a little bit of detail because we haven't talked about Year 2 in a long time, and the reason we haven't talked about Year 2 is, well, because Year 2, as we thought it would happen, did not happen at all. It technically still did happen with the Lost Imaginite Mines and the Cursed Tiki Temple, but let's talk about that. So back in February of this year, there was of course that press conference where they announced that there would not be a new Skylanders game this year, but instead we would get new figures and expansion packs for the remainder of the year. And so a lot of people took this to mean, okay, Year 2, we're getting a Year 2, new toys, new levels, all kinds of cool stuff for Imaginators. From Coin-Op to Y-Rock, everyone was convinced that we were going to get a Year 2. I mean, basically everyone. Like, from the get-go. Like, the day it was announced, that's what everyone was saying. I made a video called No Skylanders 7, but much, much more, where I was like, Year 2 is going to be awesome, and there's going to be all these cool things. And then, I would say probably about mid-March, Dark Spyro chimed in and said, okay, you know what, guys? I don't think Year 2 is happening. I think it's just going to be the 2 expansion packs, and that was what, that was what Dark Spyro decided. And then, slowly but surely, more YouTubers got on board. And it actually got to the point where Y-Rock, for instance, came out and did a video saying, look, I was more than likely wrong about this whole Year 2 thing. Don't believe that. We're probably not getting a Year 2. It's probably just going to be, the expansion packs. And from Coin-Op to Y-Rock, once again, everybody started doubting that Year 2 was going to be the way that everyone thought it would be at one point. If that makes any sense at all. Everyone started doubting that Year 2 would happen. Not me. I was like, Year 2 is still happening, baby. I was like, yeah, they announced it. That's what's going to happen. And I was sure. I was dead set that that was what was going to happen. But it didn't happen. But what got everyone's hope back up was the Krakatoa leak that wasn't actually a leak. It was a fake. And so everyone was like, oh my gosh, this looks so realistic. Krakatoa is in Year 2. We're getting a Year 2. The fact that it came from 4chan was fishy, but yeah, Krakatoa, Year 2, woo! Then, that fateful day, I got a message from Coin-Up TV, and he said, it's not real. And the collective community of Skylanders was a bit like this.
No, it's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Because at that moment we realized Year 2 wasn't happening, or at least not as we thought it would. Technically, this is what I said, technically Year 2 happened, but not like we thought it would. Technically it happened, because we got new levels. We got new content that we weren't expecting at all. But was it Year 2? Technically, yes, what we thought was going to be Year 2, not at all. So the thing is, though, what happened to it? Why did they decide to not do new figures and new levels and stuff like that? What was their reasoning behind this? So this is where it ties into my Activision's master plan thing, and I'm about to explain why they did not do a Year 2 like we thought they would. Because I have said this before, I do not think the Skylanders franchise is dead, and I almost believe with 100% certainty that we're gonna get another console game at some point. When is it gonna be? I have no clue. But I do believe we're getting another console game. So, with that in mind, that does tie into the master plan portion. I think they're going for a reboot here. I've mentioned this before. I think they're going for the whole vibe that Skylanders went on a break. There have been no Skylanders ads for the past year. Skylander Boy and Girl, probably the biggest marketing platform for Skylanders, dropped off the face of the earth. They still make a video every now and then, but honestly, they dropped off the face of the earth. If Activision was passionate about making them, making sure they're still making videos, they would be paying them. They're probably just like, just keep the channel alive, but don't, you don't need to pump out content. Like, that's the thing. We are in a situation now where Activision has gone into complete radio silence, pretty much, for Skylanders. There are a few mentions of it in the marketing teams every now and then, like, they always include them in their little financial report, they always put the little logo on there, and their social media accounts are still active, but not very active, if you know what I mean. And, they've restocked a little bit, but not really. That's the thing. Skylanders is, for all intents and purposes, not really on anyone's radar this year. Like, for the holiday season, normally this is when Skylanders would move all their products. They'd be marketing everywhere and stuff like that. But there is nothing, because there's nothing to market. There's not that many things to market. And I think, personally, that Activision knew that if they switched up their marketing strategies now and said, okay, we're going to throw all these new characters out, they knew it wouldn't work. Have you ever seen a Skylanders ad for a specific set of characters? Activision isn't like, get your all new Skylanders toys from Wave 3. They never ever do that. They're always like, introducing Skylanders Imaginators, a brand new video game where you can bring toys to life, create your own Imaginators. That's how they market every year. They're not like, look at these cool new 16 characters over there, buy them now. They don't do that. They always are marketing the game and the gimmick, not a specific character. And I think that they realized that if they tried to switch marketing strategies now and promote single characters, people would be like, okay, what's new? This has been out for a year. Snooze fest. We need something new. And I think that Activision knows that there is no way that they could have sold as much stuff based off of a year 2 as they could if they did a soft reboot. Now, why am I calling it a soft reboot instead of a hard reboot, if you will? So, what I mean by that is a hard reboot is something like Star Wars did, like with the prequels, how it took a 17-year break, I think. I was looking this up the other day, and I'm pretty sure there were 17 years, it might have been more, between the release of Episode 6 and Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. There was like a 17-year gap. That is a hard reboot, because that was many, many years where there was, pretty much nothing, and then there was something. Granted, that is a little different because there were still action figures and other things being sold, but like, as for the movie side, it was a hard reboot. When I say soft reboot, I mean not something where you're taking a 17-year break, Like, I'm talking, we take like a year break and then we bring stuff back. The goal was never to, do a hard reboot of the franchise and like totally reevaluate everything. That was never the point, at least from what I can gather. Their idea is they want to give a little bit of a break and then bring stuff back. And I'm gonna get crap for this, that I'm talking about how I'm so sure that they're just going to reboot the franchise later on, guys. But, and I understand that people are going to say, Portal Master, you've lost your mind. You said this about year 2. You've said this about so many things. How can you be so sure that there's going to be a reboot? And honestly, guys, this is my response. You do not create a franchise with over 200, I think. It's at least, maybe not 200 figures, 200 Skylanders, but it's definitely at least 200 characters, 200 pieces of intellectual property with, I don't know how many copyrights, dozens of copyrights and trademarks. Create the biggest kids franchise, one of the biggest kids franchises. You don't just create that and then drop it. You don't do that. That's simple logic. You don't just drop the ball like that. I recognize that Skylanders has the potential to be the giant fad of Toys to Life gaming. I understand that it's one of those things that could come and go. But honestly, guys, look at all of the things that we have for Skylanders. Look at the brand recognition that it got for the past several years. You don't just create that sense of identity and then go away. The reason that they did not do a year 2 for Skylanders was so that they could do a soft reboot. But then you might ask, why did they decide to go ahead and release a few more expansion packs, you know, with new parts, new Imaginators? And the simple thing is, it was a bone that they threw to the hardcore collectors. It was sort of their way of saying, okay, look, we know that there's not going to be stuff for a while, but what we want to do for you guys is we want to give you guys a couple new levels just since we can, and we want to throw you guys, you know, all these new parts to use in your Imaginators to keep people playing the game, to keep people interacting with the game. Like the number one Skylanders series on YouTube right now is about Imaginators. It's Portal Power TV's Reimaginators. There's no contest that is currently the most popular thing. It's not as popular as it was when he first started, but it is still probably one of the most, you know, big, you know, things that's going on in the Skylanders thing. And people like Imaginators, and I think Activision knew that they liked Imaginators and that people wanted to continue playing around with them. So year 2 in what was actually released, which was, of course, the 2 expansion packs, was a simple bone that they tossed to hardcore gamers. They wanted to keep people who were interested in the franchise, they wanted to keep them just that, interested. But I'm going to point to one more thing that sort of does reinforce this, and it is actually the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade balloon. Eruptor, the balloon, was not present in the parade at all. He was rumored that he was going to be in the parade, but he wasn't. So, it's kind of like they were like, you know, we've got this giant balloon and we could, you know, make a giant announcement about how Skylanders is so cool, but honestly, we want people to kind of go a year without thinking about it because that's their goal, to do a soft reboot. And if they're still cramming it in the faces of people on their off year, then they're not gonna pull out that whole Skylanders is back kind of vibe when they bring it back. And that is what they want to do. We will know if I'm right soon. This is, you know, a lot of speculation. I will admit, then you're under no obligation to believe me. Call me crazy, call me whatever. But honestly, guys, we're going to know in February. We will know in February the future of the Skylanders franchise for sure this time. And I'm actually genuinely curious if that Liam Robertson guy is going to start claiming things again. You know, he said a lot of things last year, some of which were true, some of which weren't, but he may be a terrible person, but the things that he puts out there can be true sometimes. So if he puts stuff out, I'm actually genuinely going to be curious what he says is going to happen to the Skylanders franchise in 2018. I'm genuinely curious as to what he's going to say. Not saying it's going to be true, but I just want to see what he starts claiming is going to happen and what other sources start claiming, and I don't know. It'll be interesting. But yeah, stay tuned for that February thing, because that is when we will know the future of the Skylanders franchise. And we'll know if this whole thing about year 2 and my theory as to why it happened, I think we'll know a little bit more about that when we actually get that press conference. But anyways, guys, that is all I have for you guys today. This has been Portal Master 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.